Oh my God, I can't believe it. I've never been this far away from home. Dun dun da 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 da. Oh God, my water bill. Okay. Ah, okay. So I need to talk. I was supposed to do this with the channel, just kind of document how the progress for my little application is going, and I don't think I've done that. And I haven't given myself a lot of time to think through what I'm doing. I've just been doing for a while. But I think I've gotten to a place where I've kind of been locked. I feel like I've been locked inside, and I was just kind of pacing around right now, and I just kind of thought like, oh my God, I think I know what dilemma I'm having right now. Um, I remember when I was a kid, we used to have this question we used to ask each other, and it was very obvious because at that point in time, I was an artist. And if you're an artist, then like these are, and not a rapper, I feel like if you're a rapper, you're predisposed. But if you're generally of an artistic nature, then your answer, oh, I think generally people who are liberal minded, I think will have one answer for this. If you had the option to choose between happiness and wealth, like what would you choose between the two? And when I was around 16, 17, the answer was always and forever, constantly happiness. When I entered uni, I started learning about the world, like a lot about the world, and I learned about um, how small people can be, and how big people can be, and how big people can make such big decisions that they affect everyone, whether they want to be affected or not, just because they have the power to affect all these other people. I like complicating simple things. I don't know why. Anyways, I read a bit about World War II, about I can't forget there was a war in Nigeria a while back, about the genocide in Rwanda, about the post-election that happened in Kenya, and I started learning about the cost of weakness. So the cost of not having power or not having wealth, and the wisdom of understanding or placing yourself in a place where you can protect yourself and you can protect, I think, mostly the people who you love, mostly that. And so when I was in university, my answer changed. So between the question of like, would I be happy or would I be wealthy, I chose wealth at that particular point in time. And it's because wealth would give me ideally what I want to have. And at that point, it was the reaffirmation that I was a man, because that's usually very important when you like a woman, I feel. Or it was important for me, let me say that. Because it's so much, like if you like someone who's being liked by many people, then like a lot of your affirmation, the foundation of it comes from how much of your gender you are, so how strong you are and how wealthy you are and all those things. Anyways, at that point in time, being a person who can take care of other people became important. It became something that uh, I want to say envy. Is it envy? Something that I desire to be. Somebody who is independent, but more than that, can allow others to be dependent upon. And so at that point, the answer was wealth. Uh, then I entered the business world. And I remember even as I was entering it and as I was traversing it, my answer was still the same. I'd rather be strong enough, to depend upon myself and to allow others to depend upon myself. And this didn't go for too long, by the way. Uh, I, I am a musician as much as I am a developer, as much as I am a writer, and so there's a lot of conflict in those two. Well, not too much. All of them pretty much. The basis is pretty much creation. I feel like development is the only one that goes outside the norms of the other artistic forms, because it will always exist within it will mostly exist within business constructs, places which ideally exist to bring in money, for profit, even if they're non-profit, like it's to build solutions around how to better processes to minimize cost or to maximize profit or whatever. So I mean that's different. But when you're in those spaces of business, there's a lot of, the construct, focuses or lines your thinking with, control and wealth and power and all those kinds of dynamics. And that's why there's so much effort put in self development, and self development, skill wise, soft skill wise, talking to people and all those things. So for a very long time, that was kind of my focus. I needed to build myself to be better for the industry, and also ideally for myself, but it was mostly for the industry, right? When you're learning a new language that's just popped up but everybody else is building on it, you're building it to stay relevant, right? So you're building it for yourself, but you're building it for the industry first. So as I continued doing that, I started noticing that I had a very, very solid chance of actually building something here, and it would never amount to anything major. I was never poised to be the best developer in the world, or whatever. That was just never the line. That line would never take me that far, because it was hard for me to commit, because other things for me were more interesting. I mean, conceptualizing ideas to build was more interesting than the process of learning 15 ways of building the same thing. So my answer changed again when I was working for someone, and all of a sudden I realized that I would rather be happy than not be wealthy. And the funny thing is that mind state has really manifested in the last few months, and I'll get to that. But my answer changed there. And the moment my answer changed, I realized that I had no tether to the industry that I was supposed to be in all my life. I had no tether to the companies that I was supposed to be loyal to all this time. They all never really impressed me. Even though they provided services that I came to learn how important they were. I mean, it's very, very cool understanding businesses that provide services to banks. Like if a bank goes down, or if a telco goes down, and you know who's in charge and who's the one who's messing up. It's really cool, honestly speaking. So, I mean, as cool as it wasn't something that I would want to dedicate my life to. But I found some interesting concepts. So, I have a cold in like all my videos, like, don't stress. Anyways, as I was what's this thing called? As I was pondering whether to stay in the workplace or not, I got an idea that I wanted to build. It was a cool idea, and so I decided, let me see if I can actually dedicate the next few months of my life to this idea. And so I quit, and I started building it, and etc. Now this has probably been what has been the coolest, like, I think 5-6 months of my life. Ever since I was born, I was always in an institution. Ever since I was born, I was in a school. I was school to school to school to workplace to school to workplace, constantly. So I was always in a place where somebody always gave me money to get to the institution and back home, and gave me money to eat and all these things. And they did this so that I can learn, so that I can do, and etc. And for the very first time in my life, I wasn't waking up in the morning to go somewhere. But because of my personality, I still had a lot to do. Even now, this is a mode of procrastination. This is 8 minutes of me procrastinating because I need to get something done and leave the house in the next hour, I guess. So I quit, and I started building the system for this one. And it's been around 6 months now. I left in month 2, and it's now month 7 of 2019. So it's been around 5 months? Well, we're counting the second month, so 6 months. All right, we're counting the second month. It's flimsy, but we're counting it. So 6 months, I probably have built the system for 4 months out of the 6. So I mean, July isn't done yet, but I haven't built it for all the months. There's 1 month I dedicated to a friend, and there's another month which just pretty much passed me by. So I've built it for probably 4 months. And it's been the wildest 4 months of my entire life, even though I've been mostly indoors, even though I've mostly been looking at my computer. And it's because I've really had to contend with the fact that right now I'm not making decisions for anyone, not my parents, not the people who I am working with and all these things. I'm making a decision for myself. And even then, I really can't make a decision for myself because it's hard for me to think that way. But more than that, I've actually had to contend with the fact that maybe most of the things that I wanted, I really never wanted. So as I was building the system, I was, the more I built it, the more the potential of the system was, right? The more I could build, and all these things. And it got me excited because the system really has a lot of potential. Ideally, like I mean, a whole lot of it. It has enough potential if we build it the right way, and if you build it the right way and release it the right way. I mean, this is something that could change everything, everywhere. And it's not even built on complexity, it's just built on practicality, which again is something that's different. And so all of a sudden I had to contend with the fact that maybe I'd need to like hunker down and dedicate the next 3 years to my system. And so my system slowly by slowly moved from becoming the thing I did for freedom, the thing I wanted to do, and all of a sudden it became this massive thing that if I did, I could gain all this power and all this wealth and etc. and etc. And so slowly by slowly it became, well, first it was something of happiness. I wanted to do this, so I am going to do it. And then slowly became a thing of both. Like I would be doing what I want to do and I would still do wealth. And I continued building it slowly. And the more I built it, the closer I got to having something that is final, the harder it was for me to finish it all the way. I started doing music again, and I mean hard, like weekly music all of a sudden. Last week I made around 3 songs in the week, and I released 2 of them just for the fun of it. Those are the ones I recorded. I made more by myself. So last week I maybe made around 4 or 5 songs. All of them are different. That's the funny thing. Like they don't even touch upon each other. And this is made like from the ground up. From the ground up will make them fall, right? So this is from the ground up. 3 of them are different genres. And as I was making all these songs, I was having the time of my life. I was doing the thing that I wanted to do. And all of a sudden I had to contend with the fact that even though this other thing that I wanted to do, I haven't touched it for an entire week, and I probably should touch it for a week, I didn't want to touch it for a week. And more than that, it made me start realizing that I might not want to dedicate my life to building this system. Right? The coding of it is fun. I don't really need to see anyone. It's easy. I can be in the house, I can be in somebody else's house, etc. It's really comfortable for me to do. I never thought I'd be the person who would be happy with comfort, happy with just being in one place, doing one thing. But even though I wasn't like this when I was a kid, I can't say I was very proactive, but I did what needed to be done. But now I'm entering the realization that I can really do what I want to do. I don't need to build a company and be its marketing department and all these other things for me to be a man, or for me to be capable, or for me to be outgoing and all these things. My strength really lies in creation more than anything else. My strength lies in sitting down and building the first building blocks, putting many things together, and the moment they're maybe even at a 50-60%, my work is done. There are people who can finish it better than I can finish it. So that was new, because I had no idea about, well, I had an idea about it, but I thought I was being lazy. But it is so easy for me to commit entire weeks. There's a week where I spent like around, I think, 3 weeks. I wasn't really sleeping. I was just making new things on the fly, because making them is easy, right? I can forget eating, sleeping, and all those things. I'm always on my toes when you're making new things. The finishing is a bitch, right? And when you don't have resources, then you ideally should be the one to finish. So now I'm in an odd place, right, where I really am at the helm of something I feel is going to be great, right? At the very, very helm. And it's two things, so one greater than the other, but both of them with the potential of changing everything. For me, and maybe for the people who get exposed to them. So the first one, if you do it properly, then that will change everything. But the second one is more artistic, so it's the people who will connect to it. But there's the constantly recurring problem of, like, now what? Like, I can decide to be the CEO type person. We look for all this money, we build all these cool things, I go to all these talks and all those things. I can decide to be an artist, make good music, dedicate my time just learning the process and building everything out. There's a third option, which is honestly like the best one, where I do both of them, because I do want to do both of them. I never want to be one consistently. So I build out my system, maybe because I really like the coding process, so I'd like to be a part of that. But not everything depends on me. Also, like ideation processes, so I can also be there, very well put down. And then with the music, the same way, where I make the music, like I start the process of making music, and I don't need to finish it because I can just give somebody else to clean it up and just to make it like a proper song, and I can focus on just like the churning of songs and the, writing scripts and playing around with concepts and all those things. So I think that's my best option, but it requires so much effort. And that's kind of the thing about the third option. It's definitely the sweet spot. You're kind of involved enough for you to be interested and for you to be optimal in the exact place where you are, and the systems that are around you can thrive without you necessarily being at the driver's seat or doing at every seat in there. But the direct opposite is, I'm not going to be the genius who from composition to production, makes all those things, or like, oh my god, like he drove this company all up in the air, by himself, like whatever, like Kalanick or whatever. And so I have to forfeit that desire to ideally be great, right? Or to be great in that one specific way, to be this one-man machine, because I think that's how I've always wanted to see myself, this one-man machine, this force of nature and all those things. And the funny thing is, my friends all of them are forces of nature. All of them within my position would be able to do what I am doing by themselves, all the way to the very end, without second guessing themselves or whatever. But I can't. It's the funniest thing. I don't really like being around people, but I really thrive around people, with the company, when you're making things together, and etc. and etc. And even though I know this, because my identity is very firmly locked into my image of myself as a one-man machine, then sometimes it makes it very hazy for me to see that I should probably involve people, that I should probably work a bit harder to see people and to talk to people and all those things. It's because seeing people is generally a cost. It costs you time, costs you effort, costs you money. Anyways, now what I'm supposed to do, I guess, is to look at the things I want to do. There are around 3 things. I want to write, I want to make music, and I want to code. I need to build teams around all 3 processes. So I need to build a team around the software that I'm building, I need to build a team around the music that I'm making, and I need to build a team around the books that I write. So that the only work I need to do is ideation. It's to conceptualize and to build the first building blocks, right? Build the first blocks that start the universe, then let them continue going all over, whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. So maybe I've mentioned this in another video. I can't really recall very clearly. I don't really know. But the last 5 months have probably been the most, is the word tumultuous? Something of the sort. Chaotic months of my life. Because I've had to sit down and contend with myself, what I want, what my desires are, what I really do think about things that happen around me. Like, I am no longer a bystander. I am no longer in a position where I can take in trash from other people because I am so comfortable, or there's no consequence, to the point where I can just kind of be, just chill and whatever. uh, when I was at work, I really didn't have a need to assert myself or to push my own desires upon other people, because somebody was paying my salary every month. Like, whether I do something or I don't do something, I got paid. Like, it is such a comfortable position, I could afford being numb. The last few months, if somebody made me numb, they cost me like a week of development time, or they cost me the ability to make or to do music properly. It's the funniest thing. I try and make a song, and I get to a place where somebody upsets me so much, I make another song about them. So now I can't finish the song that I started before, right? And this song here is a vent or something of the sort. So even that's become a problem. It's a problem of excess, but it's in that particular way. It kills the desire to do a song in the past. So now I like songs. It's just like backlogged because like 3 people have been pissing me off, and mounts of code, like lots of code and things. So the last few months have probably been my most chaotic emotionally. Funny enough, I never thought of myself as an emotional being. Um, I've had to contend with the weaknesses that I've had emotionally. My need for people, right? Um, and maybe more than anything else, my disdain and my lack of desire for people, for certain people, right? Like, if you feed a certain profile, I no longer have the energy to give you to just like toy around with me or whatever, which is new, right? But which I love. I feel like the last few months I've been indoors the most of the time, but I've been probably the most alive, the angriest, the most emotional, um, and all those things. But I am really, really starting to get a sense of worth that is coming in from me. Like, I think I matter, and not because I'm alive or because I have certain skill sets, but because like I value myself. So like the things which are supposed to happen, and I won't let them happen anymore. Um, I think that I am privy or deserving of some things which I haven't worked for, but not too much, right? I don't like the idea. Anyway, I guess generally speaking, um, I'm not sure yet what I want, if it's happiness or wealth. I feel like happiness, I don't know if it's given. I don't really know what to say about happiness. I feel like that's something that if you're lucky enough, life gives you, or if you're wise enough, you find, or finds you. But I feel like wealth is a responsibility. I feel like you need to be responsible enough to take care of yourself and to take care of the people around you. So I need to pay attention to that. So I need to pursue both with some form of equal measure. Which I don't know what that means, honestly speaking. I feel like I'm at the same place where I was when I started this video. I don't know what to do. But I know I feel like doing something, so I'm gonna do something. I really came here to plan, and I am going to leave without having planned anything. I don't know, man. Anyways.